Hey everybody, it's Jay here. Today I'm making a video about how I know I was trans. Happy New Year, by the way. I'm making this video because I know there's a lot of these videos out there, and that maybe you think they're kind of annoying, but I found them really useful when I was first trying to discover who I was and pinpoint the fact that I was trans. I found it very helpful to help me decide definitively if I was trans or not. And yeah, I think there should always be more of these because no one person's story is going to be the story, and you generally pick and mix from other people's stories. I know that there's parts of other YouTuber stories that resonate with me, but other parts I'm just like, what? So I am breaking this down a bit because there's a lot of different things in my past that should have really told me I was trans before I realised it, but they didn't. So we're going to have to start from the beginning. I'm going to go with clothes first because I always dressed like this. I always tried to dress like this. There were times where I tried to be more feminine. There was times that I was forced to be more feminine. But when I wore feminine clothes, I always looked wrong. Not in the sense that I didn't look pretty. Objectively speaking, like Jackson Bird said of himself, I could have been a pretty girl. I would have been a pretty girl, but I wasn't a girl. So I just looked clunky whenever I wore feminine clothes. I didn't look comfortable, so kind of affected the whole look. The times that I did try to wear feminine clothes were horrible, and I didn't enjoy myself, and I made myself even more uncomfortable and upset and sad. And yeah, clothing was a big problem for me. I didn't want to wear a bra ever. That was really uncomfortable for me. I was uncomfortable with the fact that we called girls' underwear panties or knickers. Names for girls' underwear made me uncomfortable for some reason. And the concept of wearing bras made me really uncomfortable. Even when I got to a point in puberty where I needed to wear one, I still didn't want to. It was just something I did not want to do at all because I felt like I was giving in for some reason. I don't know. It was a weird thing. My social life was affected by the fact that I didn't know I was trans, by virtue of the fact that it caused me to act kind of weird. I say kind of weird because it basically just kind of caused me, when I was in primary school, to act. When I was between the ages of 5, yeah, I started primary school when I was 5, so between the ages of 5 and 8, the fact that I didn't know I was trans made me kind of act out and act differently, and made me do things that I would never dream of doing now, and I never should have dreamt of doing then, and made me misbehave a lot in school because I wanted attention, because I felt like I was ignored a lot. I don't know why. I was just a very attention-seeking child. It was just a thing. And then between the ages of about 10 and 13, going on 14, up until I realised I was trans just before my 14th birthday, pretty much. So I was still 13 when I realised I was trans. And up until I realised I was trans, I was experiencing a lot of depression issues. For my first year of primary school, I was experiencing depression to the extent that people in my class just started to notice. People in my class started to go to teachers about me because they were like, look, there's something up with this kid. What's wrong? It was noticeable that I was experiencing a hard time in my life. In that regard, my social life suffered because of the depression and because of the acting out. In the same way, it also suffered due to the fact that I didn't fit in with the girls, but I couldn't be friends with the boys because they didn't want to be friends with girls. So I was a bit of a loner for a while, which was stressful for me because I just wanted to be one of the guys and to just be chill and in that group and not have to worry about it. Just realised my hair looks really bad, but you can't really see because of the lighting, which is nice. My interests were always stereotypically masculine, but I feel like part of that was I saw my put this in perspective. My dad used to work he still works this hours all day every day kind of thing, except for the weekend, and my mum didn't work and doesn't work nearly as much time as he does, which is cool. I don't think that, I'm not shaming her for that. What I'm saying is that I used to see my mum all the time and not see my dad that much, so my dad kind of became my preferred parent as a child, and I wanted to always spend more time with my dad, and by virtue of the fact I got kind of sucked into his interests, which were pretty stereotypically masculine interests, and I kind of have some like inherited interests from him, so there's that. Like, I'm interested in guitar playing, which isn't really that masculine, but you tend to see a lot of like shit about like singer-songwriter boys who are hipsters and blah blah blah. I like electronics, and I like mechanics and engineering and metalwork. I like, there's something else that I like that's stereotypically masculine. I was always very a Lego person, which was considered like a boys thing. I don't know, I just kind of fell into a lot of stereotypically masculine interests. Like, even if you look at my bookshelf, let's look at my bookshelf. There are some things that could be considered stereotypically feminine, such as the John Green books that are gathering dust. But then I have fucking Ender's Game. You should hear of that book because it's good. I have Nick Hornby. He's not really gendered because he's an adult. I have loads of science books. For some reason, that's a boys' thing to be interested in science. Like, I have the murderous maths books. I have the horrible science books. I have the horrible histories books. I have the Lego Builder's Guide. Come on, I'm a square. I have like a lot of like supernatural based books and like mythology based books because I'm a nerd. But anyway, I had a lot of interests that were perceived as masculine, and I don't know, that kind of put me in a weird spot because I was interested in masculine stuff, and I'm interested in video games as well. So I was interested in masculine stuff, but boys didn't want to talk to me, so there was that problem. Gendered spaces were a massive issue for me. For a really long time, I was in Girl Guides, which is like scouts for girls, and I really enjoyed going, but I always felt like I was the odd one out, and I always felt really uncomfortable going because I just I was trying really hard to fit in with it, and don't get me wrong, all the people there were really nice and it was really fun for the longest time, but like I always felt it eventually got to a point where it was only making me sad and I had to quit because of it. It was just making me upset because it was just making me dysphoric. I'm going to loop back around to the depression now. Wait, no, I'm not, because I have to say about toilets. I always felt weird going into women's bathrooms because as someone who was some female at birth and looked like a girl, I had to go into women's bathrooms, but I felt like everyone could see that that wasn't where I wanted to be. Everyone could gaze at me and know that I wasn't like them and that I didn't fit in, and that was really weird for me. It was really uncomfortable for me, and I didn't really know what to do about that, ever. It was just so confusing. I'm going to loop back around to the depression bit now. Yes, that was really bad for me. It was really, really, really bad, because I didn't really know what I was depressed about. I just knew I was depressed. Like, I didn't know what was making me sad, I didn't know why I was sad, and that made it worse because I couldn't fix it because I didn't know what was wrong. A lot of the depression was caused by not knowing what was wrong and not knowing why I felt how I felt. And once I started being able to identify as a boy, that kind of went away, which I'm really glad of because I didn't like being depressed. But once I started identifying as a boy, and once I started to try and take steps to transition and stuff, I started to feel better about myself and better about my life and less depressed, which was nice. But yeah, that's kind of all those things put together were kind of how I came to the conclusion that I was trans. I was never comfortable with my body. I was never comfortable being seen as female, and it always seemed really abstract to me. But yeah, it turns out that it was something that I've been dealing with for my entire life and I just didn't know. So yeah, that's the video. So if you liked this video, you should definitely like it, like with the button. And if you want to see more of my videos, you should subscribe. I'd love to hear how other people found out they were trans, because I always find it interesting to be able to relate to each other in terms of that, because I find that a lot of overlapping stories exist and overlapping parts of stories can exist. So yeah, hit me up. Bye.